Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Long Island Talks podcast. I think I have I would say Long Island's most prolific businessmen and providers of great quality housing, siding, roofing, and
Windows, baby.
Windows, baby. And I know you got, we're going to get into all that. Welcome, Jeff Brett. I'm so glad to have you here. You know, let's go personal first before we even get to business and what you perform. You know, we have cut these little videos because you just did my home. Just an amazing job. I'll show some pictures in the background, the amazing job your team did.
Thank you.
I think what's been interesting with us is this collaboration and this sort of, we know everybody together, but we didn't know each other.
So crazy. I couldn't. The more we talked, the more I'm like, I felt like I knew you for 30 years, and we had just met, which that's incredible.
I know. It's a blessing. I want to say that first. So you've become a friend.
Yes.
You as I said, you just did our house, and we're so pleased. We'll be moving in there within 30 days.
It's amazing.
Had to have it sided. It was one of the last things we did. We're doing some interior paint now. So I want to start with, forget King Quality for a second.
Okay.
You grow up here in Port Jefferson, Belterre area, and we talked enough on the outside. It's like meager beginnings, right?
Absolutely. Do you know my grandparents met at the high school in Port Jeff, but it was actually a hospital for World War I veterans that got mustard gassed, and they fell in love there. She came there to do a show. She was a singer, and she was singing. And my grandfather was injured. You know, he had mustard gas damage. And they fell in love, and they decided that let's move to Port Jeff from Brooklyn. And that's how it started. You know, my parents went to the junior high, which was the high school. You know, they went there. And we grew up here with 5 kids, and I love the place. You know, and I met my wife, who was younger than me, but she grew up here as well. So it's a really nice thing.
Very cool. So right here in Port Jefferson Village, you grow up here. So just a little bit about your early beginnings, 16, 17, 18 years old. I know you were a football player. We share that in common. As we talk today, we're going to kind of cross on music and a few things personally that, you know, we've grown up to love. I know you were a football player and a wrestler, right?
Yes.
So that competitive edge, I think, was driven into you early because of that. You're fighting.
Absolutely.
Right? Wrestling is the sport where you're doing your thing individually to get to a certain place for your own good.
Absolutely.
That I know about wrestling. Both my boys wrestled. And football, too, very competitive in that regard. Give me your first entree into business before we even get to the King Quality. And I want to say this first. It was funny, and you know this. When I was 16, 17, my father was in aluminum siding. And I was a musician, and I was like, I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do. But summers I'd work with him, and I have to tell you, it was one of the most enjoyable times of my life. The summer itself, just very fresh air in Queens all day, sun beating, getting a tan. You know, it was just a great time. And as you know, I used the aluminum brake.
I saw you on your job. It was awesome. You knew how to do it.
So before you even got to that, tell me about Jeff Brett, 14, 15, 16.
Do you know what's so crazy? You know, Port Jeff, I grew up here, and my parents were hard workers. My dad worked for Long Island Comfort, which was where Danford's is. You know, it was on the water. And my mom always said, we grew up in a 900 square foot house. You know, 5 kids, 2 parents. And my mom would always say, we have the best house ever. We have the best car. We never got a new car in our life. It was always a used car. But everything was the best, you know. And that's the way my mom always treated it, like, you know, this is the greatest life you can have. And you can have whatever you want as long as you dream about it. And my wrestling coach was a famous guy. Bob Armstrong was our coach. And we just did his roof, actually, recently. But he had passed away before his wife. He used to have a thing on the wall that said, the harder you work, the luckier you get. And I always loved that. He always explained it. One time when I was in 10th grade, I lost a match I thought I should have won. And I was soaking in the corner. And he came over to me and really started beating up on me. And he said, hey, it's not about you. It's about your team. Why are you here soaking? Go help your teammates. And that's what I did. You know, I started pitching my team to do better. The more I talked to my teammates to be great, the less pressure I had and the better I did. And it really changed my life. It was an incredible lesson. You know, I love Coach Armstrong. He's amazing, you know.
I've heard some great things about him, great stories, and that obviously was instilled in you.
Forever.
So these things, we build them, and we have to listen, right? Because a lot of people can show us and tell us things, but you're receptive. And I know that about you. You're a listener.
Absolutely.
I know, and you talk a lot but you're just so damn positive. That's why you talk a lot and you put out your videos, and that's what makes you different. We'll get into all that. Give me your first entree into business now. So that's your childhood. Tell me about your first time you went into business.
So for myself?
Yeah.
So the first time I went in, 1992, I had been in the industry already for about 3.5 years, and I was learning more and more about it. And when I opened up on my own, I said, I want to do the best job possible. I want to do the job differently than everybody else. And from 1992 to 1994, it was the typical up and down, and
Sure.
and sometimes it was great. Sometimes it was the worst.
If you remember 92, we were definitely in a recession in
Huge
92.
recession.
And
Everyone said the worst time to open.
And 3 years before the internet becomes a little bit usable. So I just want to put in that perspective for everybody watching this. You're 92, because I remember 92 very well. Just to give you an idea, what I did for a living in 92, you're going to love this, is I published magazines of foreclosures.
Wow,
and
because they were everywhere.
I got paid by the page.
Wow.
So as foreclosures went up, I worked for Greenpoint Savings Bank. They said, hey, Kevin, we've got 100 more hitting the industry.
Oh, they're everywhere.
I said, not great for everybody else, but that just means more pages for me. So just interesting, right? Perspective.
Absolutely. And it's funny what you said, too, because I don't remember back then. Today, you don't really know a house is being foreclosed on. Back then, they put the wood on the windows,
right.
And you saw these houses, every neighborhood closed up. And people said to me, you're crazy for opening up now, but it was my dream to help people get the things they need and want and to change it. And in the beginning, I would come home from work and my wife would know what kind of day it was, and if I was smiling and happy, she was like, oh, it was a great day. Are we going out to eat? And I was like, yeah, let's go out. If I came home moping, she's like, I guess, we're having sandwiches. And I'm like, yeah, we did. And in 1994, I listened to all kinds of different positive stuff back then, and
Was Tony Robbins one of them?
Tony Robbins,
Yeah.
and also Think and Grow Rich,
Yep.
which was old time stuff. The guys that Tony Robbins actually worked for, which is amazing. I can't remember the guy's name, but it was two different things: Think and Grow Rich and Stranger's Secret. But the old time Stranger's Secret, Earl Nightingale. And I listened to those things, and they talked about changing the way you think, whether you succeeded or not. Just getting better than yesterday. So it might not have gone today the way you wanted it to go, but you thought about, how do I get better for tomorrow? How is my life going to get better, to get better than yesterday? And when I did that, it was a Saturday, and it was a horrible Saturday. And I'd listen to the tape, and normally Saturday was a big sale day for us, and it didn't go well. And I came home all smiling, saying, the best is yet to come.
Did you say that today? Yeah.
And my wife looked at me and she said, wow, it was an amazing day. Do you want to go out to dinner? There must have been a lot of sales today. And I looked at her, and I didn't want to lie because there were no sales. And I just said, you know what? It was an amazing day. And after that day, after that night, our sales ratio went to like 90% because all of a sudden I changed.
That's amazing.
Changed the way my employees thought, got the negativeness out of the office. So if employees didn't fit, we moved on to different people.
Sure.
In 94, I wrote down all of my goals, where I wanted to be in 5 years, and it actually happened in 3 years. It was amazing, and that's where everything changed. And the crazy thing is, people say in their life, I did this because I was smart, I did that. I made the changes, and I wrote down the positive things I wanted to happen, but I didn't know the things that were going to happen. A head of a manufacturer called me. I came in a private jet to Bohemia. Why is a guy coming there and saying, hey, Jeff, do you want to go to Columbus? I want to show you something. I get in a private jet with him. I call my wife, so I'm going to go to Columbus. It's 1996. And he shows me a product that's never been used before. And he said, hey, do you want to name it King Wall Siding? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. We made some adjustments.
Name of the company was King Quality from the beginning?
King Quality from the beginning.
Right from the beginning.
Right from the beginning. And we made our product King Wall Siding.
Sure.
And it changed the industry. It's now the number one product, but that started happening. Then we did it with windows. We made our King Quality window, which was... I started thinking about, if I did it in my house, what would I want? How do I make this the best? And then I figured out a roofing system. Why everyone would just go to distribution and talk to the distribution, which just is like a grocery store.
Sure.
They don't make the product. What happened to me, and I can't tell you why or how, but the first one was the siding, like why they sent a private jet to meet me. Then I get to meet the president of GAF, the roofing manufacturer, and I start telling them everything they're doing wrong and what they can do differently and how we can make a better system and how we can give better warranties. Roofing warranties for 7 years, 5 years, you have to get a new roof, and they did layover. There was no kind of underlayments.
Incredible.
Isn't it nuts? And when I got involved with it, I said, hey, we got to change the system. We got to come. There was no ice. Nobody had an ice dam warranty. And I'm like, why don't we have an ice dam warranty? Well, the houses are built wrong. There's the opening. I said, well, why don't we cover that? And put a thing over it. Like, why not do this? Why not do that? And they thought I was crazy at first. And then all of a sudden, everything changed, and we became the best in New York, the best quality. They hired me to speak around the country to help other people change the way they did business and the programs they offered. When we changed to a 50-year roof workmanship guarantee, and people don't understand that because they think of labor guarantee. A labor guarantee is if the shingle ever fails or the siding ever fails, which really never happens.
Right.
It fails because it was done wrong.
Okay.
That's a workmanship guarantee.
Okay.
Most workmanship guarantees are 1 year. So that's why people need a roof or siding or windows, because there's the workmanship they don't really understand. King Quality gives a 50-year workmanship warranty on our systems.
I didn't know that.
Isn't that crazy?
50 years.
50-year workmanship guarantee. I know the church around the corner we did 30 years ago.
I guess mine's going to my kids.
Yours is going to the kids, and it lasts forever. And it's not exactly the products we pick are the best that you see. The stuff that you see. But it's the stuff you don't see that's underneath it. That's what changes everything. We found our own products, and they're purple, of course, with the royal treatment from King Quality.
Yep. You have it here.
I have it here. I have some purple here. And
show us that.
It's such a different thing. And when you talk about it, and of course it says on it, King Quality, the royal treatment.
Of course.
I don't know if you can see that.
Yep.
And you feel the way it is.
And you and I did a piece on this, and what you said was, we'll put this down here because these stocks we want to talk about soon too, but what you said was the breathability of it two ways. It seals and protects, but also breathes out from the house.
You got it.
Oh my God, I'm going to be an ex-salesman.
Now, most products, and it's funny you said that because, think about this, like a long time ago, it was tar paper. The house was tar paper, the roof was tar paper.
You took tar paper off the house.
Took tar paper off your house. And that's the way everything was. Then all of a sudden, oil used to be 36 cents a gallon. Oil changed to $3 or $4 a gallon, so people are insulating their homes. They're putting insulated windows in where the house used to breathe the side. Now everything goes up to the roof.
Right.
The heat, the moisture, everything. Some contractors still use tar paper on the roof. Some of them might use some kind of fiber material, but the problem is it's not breathable.
Right.
When it's not breathable, you get moss
and moisture.
It rots out the wood in the house, and it also gets all that different color on the roofing shingle.
Right.
When we changed it to this purple material, it changed to a 50-year breathability.
Got it.
And that's the big difference. And the same thing on the
siding. So again,
siding.
like you said, it's the things you don't see. You only see that for the one day, if that, and then you put on the final product.
You got it.
Which I'll show pictures in the background of the example of that.
It's amazing.
So now you're in this business. Your wife's with you. She's saying, Jeff, your positivity is bringing us through, and that's all that matters, right? I've been there. I understand it.
Yep.
So how do you grow the business? And let's just go from 94, 96 to today in terms of if you had to do a chart or you had to tell the public how the business has grown, put it into, if you don't put it into numbers, just put it into some trajectory for us so we understand.
And, it's so money, and you asked the right questions, because 1994 is when I wrote all this down. Do you know what I mean? Just what you said, where I wanted to be, and I think we were at $1 million a year in business, or under, probably less than that, and in 94. And I said, I want to be, by 5 years from now, I want to be at 15 million in business. Do you know what I mean? I want to do this. I want to do that. And I wrote down my goals. And one of the things that came to me is that I need the employees that think the same way as me. And that was one of the hardest things I did, is changing the people that worked for me. And all of a sudden, it was probably 1996, and when I went out to look for what's the best materials, what would I want to put on my house? And like I said, we did the King Wall siding, the King quality roofing system, the King quality window. Once I started thinking what I would do on my house, and it was probably like 1996, 97, all of a sudden, everything started skyrocketing. By 2001 and 2002, we were one of the biggest in the country. And it's hard to say because the industry is very fragmented.
Sure.
But we were in the top 50 in the country for siding, windows, and roofing. And we hit 20 million, then we hit 28 million in revenue, by 2006, and things just kept on skyrocketing. And the recession hit a little bit, in
2008.
2008, we had to do a rebuild, and we changed things. And I really wanted to get into. I just kept on thinking, what's the most important thing for my customers, and how do I make this affordable? And we came up with Easy Pay financing, where it made it much easier, where most companies went to the customer, can you give me cash? Can you get this? Can you get that? We never did that. Do you know what I mean? We didn't want the cash. We wanted them to be easily affordable. And when we did the monthly payments for people, it just skyrocketed, And back then, I think GE and a few places like that. Yeah. GE Finance, we were the number one with them in the country, and we really started pushing it. And things just kept on. Even after the recession, I didn't figure out what went wrong. I figured out how can we get better.
I think one of the lessons here, and I want the audience to know this, is you wrote things down. That's such a simple thing.
100%.
But I have to tell you that as human beings, thoughts fly by all of us each and every day. And then we just move on. And we never write it down. And if you don't write it down, it's not emblazoned into your DNA. That's what you did.
You got it. And I love that you just said that, because now, we're growing like crazy, and we're hoping to hit $1 billion in revenue, around the country. Mm-hmm. And we hire quite a few new people as we're growing every year. And one of the things we do with everybody is we make them make a 5-year plan. Do you know what's the most important thing
for the employees?
For the employee, where do you want to be? What do you want to think? And for me personally, my first thing, is God and church, next is family, then King quality. So it's such a quick, easy thing. What do I have to do? Oh, let me go down my list. What's the most important things I need to do? And I don't have many hobbies, as you know, and I like coming here to talk to you, and I'm glad you asked me. But I really don't have any hobbies because I'm 60 years old, but I feel like I'm having the time of my life, and what it is we put the most important things first, and that's what I want my employees to do, because a lot of people think of 10 different things they want to do, all this different stuff, and I want to do this, I want to do that. Even young business owners, they have 10 different things they're doing, and they never get to be number one at where they want to be, where they just say, I want my business to be the best, and I'm going to do it by this, and this.
And write it down.
Write it down. And then do it. When you wake up in the morning, when I wake up, I get up. The way I wake up. Wake up, I'm 60 years old, but I'm ready to go at 5 in the morning, and I feel energized. And I say, how am I going to help people get the things they need and want today? How can I help my customers get where they want to be? How can I help my employees? How can I have my company be number one? And that's it. It's not any crazy stuff or anything you got to think about.
And not only is it not crazy, I feel like, and I don't want to speak for you, but I feel, although there is pressure in that goal, I don't think you feel any pressure. I think you
love that.
I think you get through it just like wading through water. It's just go forward all the time. And that's important, because if you had pressure, then you'd have these amazing kind of setbacks, and everybody has setbacks, and you talked about them already. But you're looking 2 or 3 steps ahead, and that goal is more important than anything else. And you're sharing it with your employees and your family.
I love what you just said, and I'm glad, because I think you're a lot smarter than me, because I couldn't have said it so clearly as you just did, because when you were saying, I was like, wow, that's me. And just think back a long time ago, coming home to my wife, and she was like, wow, you must have had a great day. Because at my center and my thing, all I think about is the best is yet to come. Now, things happen. Bad things still happen. Things don't happen. But we concentrate on never doing the same mistake twice. So something might happen and we fix it. Never happens again. You learn from it. Sometimes I talk to people and they say, I go, what's wrong? What happened in your life? And they're telling me a story of something bad that happened. And it was 25 years ago. And I'm like, wow, well, that was a while ago. Maybe you can start thinking differently now. And that's the way I do. I don't remember the things that happened bad because we change it and it's never going to happen again. I remember just what you just said. The best is yet to come. And we correct whatever there is, whatever happened, we fix it ASAP, but we don't concentrate on who made the mistake, who did this, who did that. We don't want people making the same mistake twice.
There must be something in the water here in Port Jefferson because we talked about this. Certainly one of my good friends, and I know you knew him, Dom Famularo, who was amazing. We call him an ambassador of the drums and positivity, even before he drums, right? So you're great at running businesses. You're great at developing, products for your customers. But at the core of that, you're really your own best cheerleader, and that's certainly what Dom was. So I see some similarities there. I just wanted to point that out. That's a positive thing for
our kids graduated together.
For Port Jefferson. Oh, awesome. Great, fantastic. So fast forward, how many customers have you serviced in Long Island?
You know what's so crazy about what you just said? And sometimes it blows me away when I think about this. 1992, we started and if we did 10 jobs in a month, we loved it, and now we have 125,000 customers on Long Island, without Syracuse, without Westchester, without everything else. And I think about that, and I don't really, I go out to dinner usually at the regular places I hit, so I know the people already. But I went to Savino's Hideaway the other day,
okay.
And it was so funny. 3 customers came up. Oh my God, Jeff, you're here. You did my house, or you go out. Someone was singing. We were out to lunch in Nassau somewhere, and 4 customers were singing our jingle, and I didn't even hear them at first. And the guy that I was with was like, Jeff,
they're singing your song.
Yeah, and I go, what? I mean, oh my God, which is crazy because I forget what brand we built. You know what I mean? Because, like I said earlier, my family, work, you know what I mean? Most important things. And I don't always really go out all the time, different places. But when I do, it's amazing the amount of customers that come over. And I love that.
Lives you touched.
And even the King Quality hoodie, which I know you love the hoodie.
Yes, and I need it now.
We handed out over 100,000 hoodies. We try to get them to all of our customers, whoever wants them. You can't go anywhere without somebody wearing a hoodie, especially this time of year. You'll see the hoodies everywhere, and we do the breast cancer hoodies too, for Mathra Hospital.
Let's talk about that. Now that success, and I know you're going to have more success, but you've achieved a certain amount of success, we'll just say, and we've just talked about that. What is your give back? What do you like to do in terms? You've already well explained and communicated that your give back is every day to what you do and your customers and your employees.
Yes.
But is there any certain charities that hit home for you that you do get involved with?
I love what you said because, years ago, Father Frank and Hope House, I was friends with him since he started. And in the beginning, I was always friends with all the guys at Hope. And they used to go to Port Jeff High School, do you know what I mean? The original ones. And we always helped him out with roofs and different things. And that was one of the first places we helped with King Quality Cares. And then we started doing Thanksgiving, with handouts, to people that needed turkeys. Needed turkeys. And as we were we're sitting one day, and I think we handed out 200 turkeys. And we were sitting there after, and we were saying, what more can we do? Can we do something else? And one of the head guys, Dave from Cablevision, was there, and he said, why not King Quality Cares? And we changed it to King Quality Cares, and we started working with different places, and we would put TV commercials together for free for them, and we would give them $50,000 in free TV ads, and it was about King Quality Cares and their project. Long Island Against Domestic Violence. They normally got 60 calls a month. We did a commercial for them. They had 600 calls. It was crazy. John's Crazy Socks.
Love it.
We sponsored him, and we love John's Crazy Socks. And then he made the King Quality Socks for me, which
brilliant.
I love. But we put it on TV for him, and he got more calls for people to buy more products. And we did it for Westchester Cares, a place that helps with food. We did so many different things that we helped out. We call it King Quality Cares, and we try to put TV commercials on, $50,000 worth for these people that they help and care and want to do things, and they do it all day long, is they try to change people's lives, but they don't have the money to ask for help.
Right. So
and that's where we come in.
Beautiful. Boost, partnership, support. That's brilliant.
It's
I
been amazing. And honestly, and I'm glad you brought it up because it's my pride. I love John. When John's Crazy Socks, we did it for them first. And then he said, I have a surprise for you. I have a surprise for you. And they came to the office and brought the socks. And I almost cried. Do you know what I mean? And John is a kid, special needs kid that he's 30-something years old now. But
Isn't he the CEO?
He's the CEO. And he wants to be the best. When I said, how did you think of a sock company? And they're like one of the number one sock companies in the country now. Mm-hmm. And he goes, well, originally I wanted to do a food truck. And I said, well, what happened to the food truck? And he goes, I don't know how to cook. And I was like, oh. So we made socks. And he custom makes the socks, and it's just, he loves what he does. And because he loves what he does, he has the best socks. So please, if you need socks,
same thing, right?
Go to John's Crazy Socks. And they sell the most Christmas time. And I wear John's Crazy Socks every day, and I love them.
I love them too. They're comfortable.
Awesome. They're very comfortable.
Jeff, amazing. You're helping all different types of organizations across the board. You're certainly a goal-oriented person. Your positivity shows through. This is not the end. There is no end ever. It's infinity and beyond.
That's it, baby.
At some point, you sit around in boardrooms, right?
Yes.
At the highest level, and you have goals. I know that. What are some of the goals for King Quality, the national brand? Where is this thing going?
We would love to be, we're going to be in every state. We want to be in every state and not just King Quality, but partner with the best in every state, And our goal is $5 billion in revenue, which is crazy, but that's the way we're on to, and we only started this 2 years ago, and it's grown tremendously.
So Jeff, there's a distinct break off of the local King Quality and now what you are a big part of the national, right?
Yes.
So we had your 20-year business, 20
30.
plus year, right?
30-year
business, right? We're young men,
33.
trust me on that. So there's the 30-year, I'll call it local. It was a big business. It was growing. And then something changed to get you to a national level. You don't have to go into details, but the idea is the national brand now.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's really what it is. We wanted to, it became a thing where home improvements was very fragmented, and you were treated differently. At first, manufacturing went from being fragmented to only a few manufacturers. Distribution, you might see different names on distribution, but there's really only 3 big ones now, which is crazy. And that set the way for home improvement. And it's really weird. I was at a Goldman Sachs thing 3 years ago, and they said by 2025, home improvement's going to be nationalized and things are going to change dramatically. And it was so crazy because deals that I thought were good in the past, they said, no, those are for, you have to be nationalized to do it. You have to get a better deal for your marketing and your financing for things to really change the way we wanted to do it. And it's so weird because it made me start thinking of my original dream when I was a kid.
Sure. Oh, my God.
When I was a kid,
I
wanted to be
goosebumps. That's crazy.
all over the country.
It's crazy.
And it opened the door, and I found a place to partner with, and we have some of the best partners around the country.
I want to tell you this as a customer, because I can do that, because
yes.
I am a customer. This is not a disparaging remark to anybody that's in this business, but I will say this. Obviously, I saw a few vendors, if you call them that. What do we call them? Service providers.
Service providers, yep.
Before I knew of King Quality and learned of King Quality, which we ended up with King Quality, and we're so glad about it. But it is fragmented, but it's not only fragmented. There is a whole plethora, like a left and a right, as to the professionality or the non-professionality of the business.
You got it.
I think in a world where we're so used to, as you said, bigger names in a lot of different verticals, King Quality stood out. Just the little things, the professional aspect, having the logo on the shirt. You might think that's a little thing, but that tells me you're committed to the business.
Absolutely.
I had guys pulling off again, not disparaging. I'm sure everybody has experienced this. They're pulling up in a truck late, by the way.
Yep.
And you kind of think of these things and you say, wait a minute, if you're late and you're treating this way, how's the job going to be? So I want to say I'm going to be a testimonial for you right now. From beginning to end, what I thought is what I experienced.
That's awesome.
And as you know, I was on the job the whole time. And first of all, it was fun. One of the most fun things in the world, because it brought me back to when I worked with my father, but also the expediency, and we'll show some pictures in the background, of the whole team getting around, getting the job done. By the way, I thought a job like mine, it's a small ranch, folks, would be like 2 weeks. It was done in 3 days, and I think we had rain.
I love it. One of the days it rained. Yep.
So what am I saying? I'm saying all this matters, the branding, the commitment. From a customer point of view, it makes people want to do business with you.
I love that.
Even if I didn't know you, Jeff,
Thank you.
I'm trying to let you know that that's important, what the customer experiences and what the thought process is through not only the work itself, which is superior, but also just, communicating back and forth. And the way you communicate, and just willing to do whatever it takes to make the customer happy. I just think that's really missing in so many service-oriented businesses.
Absolutely. And you brought up such a great thing and I'm backing up to 1994 again, because I was open 2 years. And I was just like everybody else for 2 years.
Right.
And I kept on talking to friends. That's the way it is. That's the way it happens. It's hard to do it. In 1994, I said, you know what? I don't want to be like everybody else.
Right.
I don't want to be like them. I want to be totally different. And I said, I'm going to change it where the customer comes first. Number 2, my employees come second, not me. I come last. I didn't know it was going to work or not. And I gave it a 5-year plan. And the opposite happened. And I talked to you a little bit about the manufacturers hired me to speak. I would do a seminar with 1,000 contractors in there. Some of them believed what I said. Some of them didn't believe it. And I said, you have to change the way you think. It's not about how much money you're going to make. Put the customer first. Put your system first. Give the best every time, because the customer doesn't know what the best is. So most contractors say, well, if you don't want, let me get the cheapest price, but the cheapest material is not going to last long. We said, let's educate the customer. Let's show them what's the best. And when I made these changes and when I started speaking, I spoke to seminars with 1,000 contractors there, and they thanked me, they helped me, but it started making me think. In 2018, I started saying, wow, all these people write me letters, and they help me as I change their lives. And I started to think about my young dream, that I wanted to be the best in the country. How can we start moving our company, King Quality, everywhere? And that's when the thoughts started coming to me that, you know what, we do it different than everybody else, and we think differently than everybody else. Not what's in it for us, but how can we serve? How can we help our customers? How can I help my employees' dreams come true? How can I help my homeowners' dreams come true? And when we started changing that and doing it, I had so many letters and so many things from other contractors around the country thanking me. And I started saying, wow, if we can start doing something differently and grow this everywhere, we can change the industry.
This is making me think of something. You must have contractors that were in their own business that don't have the business prowess, marketing, etc. They must want to or have joined your team, I'm quite sure.
Absolutely. And it's so amazing because, everybody has something to give they're great at. But sometimes it's not the things that help grow your business, but it's the things that do it right. And we love to bring people in like that, and their companies are
right. Let's say they're talented.
It.
They're talented at doing the siding and the windows and recommending and workmanship, but they don't know, nor do they know how. They don't know how to communicate that. You obviously do. So what a great marriage that is. I know you've probably read a book called The E-Myth, right?
Of course. I love it.
I knew
That's so funny.
So those of you out there that don't know The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, it's you should be working on your business, not in your business.
And that's 1,000,000% right.
It's unbelievable. It's a one-night read.
Yep.
If you haven't read it, you really should. It changed my mind on a lot of things. Very hard to do at first, because if you're a control freak, right, you tend to say, you're not really doing that right, and I'm going to do it. And that's like the worst thing you can do.
Absolutely.
What you want to do is put in systems and have your employees follow systems.
Absolutely. 100%. And the whole thing is you put your systems in, but you also say, let me get the best products, the best systems. Not necessarily what everybody else does,
right,
but what we've proven is the best. Now your customers get the best. Your employees feel strong because they're doing the best.
Right.
And everybody changes their attitude. Instead of, I have to go to work, I get to go to work. I get to help.
I look forward to going to work.
I look forward to it. And it really is a game changer. And it helps you have a culture that feels like they're the best.
Right.
And they're helping people get the things they need and want.
I feel like
and
we're in
peace of
therapy
mind.
together right now. because really at the heart of this, that's what you're doing. You're building a culture.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
the culture
100%.
takes care of the business.
You got it.
I'm learning here.
You got it. And it's so funny you said that, because it's not like, it's like people think, what's the secret? How do you do it? There is no secret. It's actually the easiest thing in the world to do it. But the problem with a lot of people is they don't have the commitment, or they start thinking about the money. And that's the most important thing. When you put the money to a different side, and it's more, how can I help? How can I serve? How can I help my customers get the best? How can I help them get the things they need and want? How can I help my employees' dreams come true? I love when my employees buy a new house, or they get this new car.
Sure.
I'm so proud of it. Or they move up in the company and they keep on growing. Michelle started with me 1994, and she worked in the office. She answered the phone, I think. Then she moved up to production. She moved to everything. She became the general manager of King Quality. Now she's the president of all of New York State. Do you know what I mean? And she's crushing it. Do you know what I mean? But she changed her life. Do you know what I mean? And she loves what she does. Ray in my office. Rachel's been with me since she was a kid. She's head of finance for New York State.
Good shout outs.
I love it. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure you've talked to some of them, and
Well, I'm going to shout out to Stevie. Stevie was my foreman. Is that the name? I hope.
Stevie.
Right?
Is he the best?
Stevie, we're saying hello to you.
Stevie will love you and your family.
Absolutely. And Stevie was head of the job. I guess we'll call it the foreman. And he just kept things rolling. Just really not only experienced but also focused, but at the same time, hey Kevin, let's have fun doing this. And it was a great experience. So shout out to Stevie.
Stevie's the best. We love Stevie.
Jeff, this has been great. I can see us continuing this a few times a year at the very least, right? Because I'm excited about your growth, and I want to follow your growth, and I want people to understand your growth. I think, as much as I keep saying this, as much as this is about one of the greatest home improvement companies in the country,
thank you.
Your lessons to people, especially in an atmosphere where, hey, things can be a little bit wacky, a little negative. We've got things happening with the AI. We have things happening politically. Forget all that. I think people can learn from your focus and the steps you're taking to build a company, not only the company, because of that, in turn, building better lives for people.
Thank you.
That's my takeaway. I learned today. I'm being honest. I really did learn. So I want to thank you for being here. King Quality all the way. Any parting words?
The best is yet to come, baby. I love it. Thank you.